is enjoy your home. Stay. I would just say right now, we have to get this problem fixed, and then we'll get back into business really quick. We'll open up our country, we'll open up our society, the world will hopefully open up. We see areas of the world that haven't done well, and we see areas that are doing very well. And I would put us in the category of doing very well for a country so big. I think that I would recommend that they just enjoy their living room. John.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, we're going to take a look at highlights from the latest of all of President Trump's daily press briefings, where he has been engaging the public and telling us exactly what's happening. We're going to take a look at the clips where he calls out the fake news media and calls out the deep state. So you guys are going to want to stick around to check out that, plus a whole bunch of breaking news stories that really matter that the mainstream media won't touch. So you guys are going to want to stick around and check out that and a whole lot more. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. I'm your host, Craig. I start by saying thank you if you've hit that subscribe button. If you haven't, please come here, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications, then select all so you get notified as soon as all of these videos get posted. Before we get started, I want to remind you this video is being brought to you in part by RedPillLiving.com/justinformed. Use that link in the description to come over and check out the products at Red Pill Living. They got things like these liposomal vitamin products, which I've used and I think are great. The vitamin C and vitamin D, we need to strengthen our immunity systems in the face of what's going on with this pandemic. So go check out their products. It's redpillliving.com/justinformed. Also, they have the colloidal silver, which you can do your own research and look at what the benefits are to taking a supplement like this. Obviously, this is not medical advice. Consult your doctor, but you should check out redpillliving.com/justinformed and then use the coupon code JUSTINFORMED when you check out to get 10% off your offer. So go check out their products today. And that's pretty much where we're going to get going. Today we start right where we left off. We left at QPost 3894. Not sure if we're going to be seeing a lot of QPosts coming up in the near future, especially given the current situation. I've talked to other sources and had some conversations about what's going on behind the scenes. And it looks to me like this is obviously a very real national crisis that we're dealing with, and we're doing it in a way that is going to affect an outcome which I really think that the deep state globalists are not going to like, because they have ultimately, in my opinion, metaphorically dug their own graves, in the sense that we have been ready to make a move against these bad actors, and President Trump has made it very clear that we are going to be attacking the silent enemy. Now, that's up for you and your interpretation what the silent enemy is, but obviously we have the coronavirus, and now this story is just breaking almost minutes after or before this show started. Vice President Mike Pence's staffer apparently has tested positive for coronavirus. So this is going to be their new major national news story, and they're going to keep trying to panic and scare the public. What you're going to see in this video is several examples of the fake news trying to create a panic, and these examples are, prima facie exactly what they seem, because you have President Trump giving press conferences every day trying to assure the American people that the government is doing everything it can in working with the states to try to mitigate the spread of this virus, because we know this virus came from China out of nowhere and has incredible repercussions if we don't contain it and try to minimize the spread. But it seems that the fake news media only wants to panic the public and try to convince them that we're on the precipice of a major crisis that, in my opinion, is dangerous and is uncalled for. And not only that, it shows not only shows that the fake news cannot control their hatred for President Trump, even in the time of a national crisis where we should be coming together, but it actually shows even deeper than that, this malevolence and this intention to not only capitalize on this current set of circumstances, but to use it to create wider divisions within our country, and then also to scare the public into being more easily controlled. You have CNN Politics putting out pieces like this saying Trump peddles unsubstantiated hope in dark times. So at this point, when I play these clips of President Trump in the news conference, I'm trying to give you a few select pieces right now, and I'll show them right now, that exemplify the fake news, their vitriol for the president, and how they've basically taken every opportunity they can to smear his administration's effort to effectively guide our nation through this crisis where we are trying to contain a viral pandemic. So this is disgusting, and you guys are going to definitely want to stick around because we're going to do a little bit longer Bible reading at the end here. And you know, I know a lot of this stuff might make you mad, but remember to put God first, and remember that we defeat this evil with God. And I had to remind myself about that, and we're going to read out of the book of Romans today because I think there's some really important stuff that we can take out of that and how to deal with this, because God is how we deal with this crisis. Looking to Christ, embracing the Holy Spirit inside of us, that's how we defeat this, along with the safety measures that are recommended, and you know, staying at home and trying not to, you know, spread virus if you're sick, spread the virus if you're sick. So there's going to be a part that you guys are going to want to stick around to watch at the end, but here's a couple selected clips of the fake news media going after President Trump, and I think it's disgusting, but here's what we're up against.
You keep calling this the Chinese virus. There are reports of dozens of incidents of bias against Chinese Americans in this country. Your own aide, Secretary Azar, says he does not use this term. He says ethnicity does not cause the virus. Why do you keep using this? A lot of people say it's racist.
It's not racist at all. No, not at all. It comes from China. That's why. It comes from China. I want to be accurate.
About Chinese Americans
please,
in
John.
this country.
Please.
The aides behind you. Are you comfortable with this term?
I have great love for all of the people from our country, but as you know, China tried to say at one point, maybe they stopped now, that it was caused by American soldiers. That can't happen. It's not going to happen. Not as long as I'm president. It comes from China. John, please.
My second question is, there are some, at least one White House official, who used the term Kung flu, referring to the fact that this virus started in China. Is that acceptable? Is it wrong? Are you worried that having this virus be talked about as a Chinese virus, that might...
I wonder who said that.
Focus,
you know who said that?
I'm not sure the person's name, but would you condemn the fact...
Say the term again.
A person at the White House used the term Kung flu. My question is, do you think that's wrong, Kung flu? And do you think using the term Chinese virus, that puts Asian Americans at risk, that people might target that?
No, not at all. I think they probably would agree with it 100%. It comes from China. There's nothing not to agree. Okay.
What do you say the Americans were scared, though? I guess nearly 200 dead, 14,000 who are sick, millions, as you witnessed, who are scared right now. What do you say to Americans who are watching you right now who are scared?
I say that you're a terrible reporter. That's what I say. Go ahead. I think it's a very nasty question, and I think it's a very bad signal that you're putting out to the American people. The American people are looking for answers, and they're looking for hope. And you're doing sensationalism, and the same with NBC and Comcast. I don't call it Comcast. I call it Concast. Let me just for whom you work. Let me just tell you something. That's really bad reporting. And you ought to get back to reporting instead of sensationalism. Let's see if it works. It might and it might not. I happen to feel good about it, but who knows? I've been right a lot. Let's see what happens, John.
I have two questions. Do you consider the term Chinese?
OAN.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Thank you very much. You treat me very nicely.
Do you consider the term Chinese food racist because it's food that originates in China, or it has Chinese?
No, I don't think it's racist.
On that note,
I don't think it's racist at all.
on that note, major left-wing news media, even in this room, have teamed up with Chinese Communist Party narratives, and they're claiming you are racist for making these claims about Chinese virus. Is it alarming that major media players just to oppose you are consistently siding with foreign state propaganda, Islamic radicals, and Latin gangs and cartels, and they work right here at the White House with direct access to you and your team?
It amazes me when I read the things that I read. It amazes me when I read the Wall Street Journal, which is always so negative. It amazes me when I read the New York Times. Is not even, I barely read it. You know, we don't distribute it in the White House anymore, and the same thing with the Washington Post. Because, you see, I know the truth. And people out there in the world, they really don't know the truth. They don't know what it is. They use different slogans and different concepts for me almost every week, trying to catch something. Last week it was, oh, chaos. You see me, there's no chaos. I have no chaos. I'm the one telling everybody to be calm. There's no chaos in the White House. We have unbelievable professionals. It's really, I mean, I think I came up with the term. I hope I came up with the term, but it is fake news. It's more than fake news. It's corrupt news. They write stories without calling anybody. They write a story today. I had a couple of stories where they never call me, ever, that I know of. At least nobody tells me. They'll write a story about me without even asking my opinion on something. It's totally fake. I've never seen, I mean, there is a story in the Wall Street Journal today about, about how we've done a phenomenal job on this. The governors, even Gavin Newsom, who, I'm usually fighting with over the fires, and I think you should do a different kind of a job in the forests and lots of things. We argue a lot. But Gavin Newsom's been very, very generous. Andrew Cuomo's been really very generous. I mean, they're saying we're doing a great job, and everybody's saying. But then you'll read this phony story in the Wall Street Journal, or the Washington Post is going wild lately. I don't know what happened to them. I guess something happened, like we don't call them back or whatever. But the Washington Post, these are very dishonest media sources. They're very dishonest. And you know what? Someday, hopefully in 5 years, I won't be here, and that'll be fine. I will have done, I think, a great job, because I don't think anyone's done as much in 3.5 years as I've done. I don't think, and the administration. This administration's done a great job. But the press is very dishonest.
But more than dishonest, they're siding with state propaganda.
Well, I think they do. I mean, they are siding with China. They are doing things that they shouldn't be doing. They're siding with many others. China's the least of it. So why they're doing this, you'll have to ask them. But if we had an honest media in this country, our country would be an even greater place.
So there you saw just a few clips of these press conferences President Trump's been giving, where you have an adversarial press acting in the most heinous and despicable way you could ever imagine. And what's interesting to me as an observer, as an American, as somebody who's living through this just as well as you all are out here in the country, and if not even maybe a little more severe than most. I'm in California right now, and the entire state's been shut down. Let me just say that we are in the midst of the Great Awakening, and that these people are terrified. That the reason they won't ask the Q question is because they understand it will expose their complicity in covering up this evil and this corruption that's been going on for decades. And they are still a part of and plugged into a system that is meant to lull the public and the masses into a deep trance, so that they can't be effectively told the truth without having all these layers of denial that are programmed into them by the fake news liars who take advantage of their knowledge of the human psyche and their ability to manipulate people's emotions and use that to their advantage. And that's ultimately what we're trying to combat here. So those clips gave you a full view of what President Trump's up against, what the American people, we the people, are up against on a regular basis here, just in this country. As it seems, from what I've heard, I've been trying to tell you guys something big was coming. Q's been saying something big was coming. My sources, who I trust, have said, look, there's going to be a big event. Now, I'm not saying that they knew that this virus was coming, but as I've said before, the military plans in contingencies, and they have a contingency for every contingency, and then another contingency for that if anything goes wrong. So to think that we weren't prepared 100% for this scenario is foolish. But to understand how you can take a tragedy like in, if you ever know martial arts, like combat, like jujitsu, you take somebody's momentum and then you use it against them, right? And that's exactly what you do here. a virus that conveniently comes out of China right when they're having mass protests that for democracy, and the Chinese Communist authoritarian dictatorship, the CCP, the Communist Party, they felt threatened. Now, what benefit is it for them to allow a virus like this that may or may not have been manufactured in a weapons lab in Wuhan to spread across their entire country and other parts of the world where there's open protests for democracy, people marching through the streets demanding accountability? Well, I don't know what advantage it would have where you could install an authoritarian regime on top of the people, restrict their movements, lock them in their houses, and tell them they can't come out except for work and a few other things. So I don't know how that benefits. You guys will have to tell me down in the comments. How would that benefit the Communist Party? How would that benefit the Iranian mullahs? How would that benefit the Italian socialists? I wonder how it would benefit people to be able to lock people in their houses, to restrict their movements, to restrict their ability to congregate in large groups. I wonder why a nation like China would put a virus out or not saying that they put it out, but let's say at the minimum, let's say that they were negligent in reporting it and they were active in covering up the substantiality of it by effectively imprisoning the doctors and reporters who were coming forward trying to inform the people of the world, basically, that this is a very dangerous virus that had huge implications. So we're not dealing with something that we created. We're dealing with something that came from somewhere that had no problem with it spreading. And when that place is the second largest economy in the world and one of the largest as far as population and traveling, you have to ask yourself, what's actually happening here, and why are people inside of our own media shilling for the Communist Party against our president? It's disgusting and it's appalling. And it begs a few other questions, like Joe M here on Twitter asks, why are we getting sick from scientifically engineered, and this is his theory, so I'm just putting it out there, but it's a question. Why are we getting sick from scientifically engineered viruses with a patent owned by one of the richest men in the world who declares population should be reduced and whose dad was head of the industrialized abortion syndicate Planned Parenthood, asking for a friend? So think about this. How does this whole sequence of events line up, and who benefits from forcing us to be in our houses on our computers all the time, right? You have to ask these simple questions. The whole idea behind a lot of the agenda that we've talked about from these globalists is to create a command and control system where you can be locked up and that the restricts your travel and restricts your movements. And it may seem that we are restricting a lot of our freedoms here in America, but at the same time, this virus is very real. There is no reason for anyone to think it is not real. And those who think it's fake or whatever, I think are living in a fantasy world right now, and that they don't realize how serious this is. Because like I said, I'm here in California and I'm seeing it every day. But one of the other interesting things that people are pointing out, and I just figured I'd do it in fairness here for just to get both sides, is that people are saying, what if China, Russia, and the USA, along with other countries, are working together to bring down the levers of control, the New World Order? And this was all talking about chloroquine, which was basically a medicine that's used to cure things like, I think, malaria. And it's being applied to people with coronavirus, and they're saying that it probably works and that it's going to have some positive effects. Okay, fine. Well, there was this older post from Q where Q said, "Thank you, Xi, CQ canceled. China, CQ cancel." Actually, was the post right here. It says, "Thank you, Xi, good start. China, CQ cancel." And this was in a set of posts where they were talking about China. And look, at that point, it's hard to tell what, Corona or what coronavirus had to do with this post from April of 2018. But I'll tell you this right now. There have been things coming out of China for quite some time that we've turned a blind eye to and ignored, and people now are finally waking up to it. So I was talking to a friend of mine the other day for a project I've been working on about Q and all that, and they're like, "Well, what do you think about all of this?" And I'm saying, well, if you just want my standard opinion, it is that it'd be very hard for Q to have been able to predict that this would come. But if it were even possible, and we were planning contingencies, as we know this was a part of a military intelligence drop to the public, then they would have known the possibility of a Chinese virus coming out. And maybe, this is something the Chinese have been, I'm not even going to speculate on who threatened what, when, but I'll say this. At this point now, it's here and we have to deal with it regardless, right? And I think the reason why they're not doing mass testing is because there's a heck of a lot more asymptomatic carriers than people would like to realize. But that's why we're all being told to go home, and that's all you can do at this point. But I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. I'm just telling you, this is my one man's opinion. Again, you have people like President Xi coming out now and saying these weird coded messages. The sun will come out after the storm. I don't know what it means, but I do know that we've heard a lot of talk about this storm, and everybody knows what this storm is at this point. So I don't know what to tell you. All I know is that this is all coming together, and I thought we should look at all of these stories, not to mention here today this major story about 4 senators dumping millions of dollars in stocks while Capitol Hill was being briefed on the coronavirus threat, but before markets started tanking. So apparently Dianne Feinstein, Kelly Loeffler, Richard Burr, a few other people apparently were involved in selling off major stock positions after receiving a classified briefing on Capitol Hill about the fact that the coronavirus was becoming a major issue. Look, I think if you're using inside classified information to make stock decisions, that should be illegal. But I also think that, it wasn't hard for a lot of people, if you're following this every single day, to know this virus is looking serious. Maybe I should pull my money out of the market and just wait on the sidelines for this one. So I don't want to get into, we all know what Dianne Feinstein had been involved with, her former assistant who worked for the Chinese as a spy, all of the deals that she set up with her and her husband with China. And we're not ignoring that. But at the same time, look, these people, you can see for yourself what their first, inclination is to do is to protect their millions and millions of dollars in investments. And these are the people running this country and supposedly representing their districts. I think that in a time like this, in a time of tragedy, you see who's really representing the people and who is only representing their, wealth positions. So that's where I want to go ahead and leave it. A few more things before we go. Obviously, come here, watch these videos, share them on your social media. It seems like the algorithm is still on, the suppression algorithm, but you guys are breaking it. So keep sharing these videos, keep reposting them, and leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below, because I want to hear what you guys have to think about everything. Also, the video is also brought to you in part by Brave Browser. Use the link in the description right now to download the Brave Browser, install it on your computer, and run it. It's important. Once you download it, you gotta install it and run it. But it's a great product. I really stand by this product, and I think you guys will enjoy it. So use the link in the description to download the Brave Browser for free. It blocks the ads, and it's better than Google Chrome and all the other internet browsers out there. So please download it and try it out for yourself for free today using the link in the description. Also, you can come find me at Twitter at JustinFormU, the official web page or Twitter page for Just Informed Talk. We have bitshoot.com/JustinformedTalk, the official backup page. We also have justinformednews.com, the official website for Just Informed Talk, and a couple other ways you can help out the channel is here on Patreon, patreon.com. And how do you do that? You just come here. It's a monthly donation. You set it and forget it. You guys keep this channel alive. Your support is what keeps this channel going, because they've demonetized everything. I know I see a lot of people complaining now, oh, they're demonetizing. Well, guess what? Some of us haven't been monetized by YouTube in a very long time. And you just got to keep persevering, and your help is how it stays alive. So thank you. I also have a GoFundMe set up if you want to make a one-time or anonymous donation. Now, before we go today, I have an important segment I want to share with you called God's Grace is Greater. We do it at the end of every show where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. And I'm going to read a little bit of a longer portion today because let me preface this by saying, when your heart is troubled, you can turn to God. And one of the best things you can use as a tool to turn to God is to open up your Bible and start reading. And, I know a lot of you may be at home now and may have a lot more time on your hands. And I really encourage you to pick up the Bible and start reading it for yourself. Because when your heart feels, anger, or frustration, or contempt, or whatever it is, you can find solace through the words that have been given to you by our Lord and Savior for you to take into your heart and have an understanding of what we're called to do. But I want to share this verse. It's out of the book of Romans, and it's basically, we're going to start in chapter 12, and we're going to do verse 9 through 21. It's and this is talking about Christian ethics, which I thought was perfect for, what we're dealing with here. Very unethical, in my opinion, evil people. It says, love must be without hypocrisy, detest evil, cling to what is good, show family affection to one another with brotherly love, outdo one another in showing honor, do not lack diligence, be fervent in spirit, serve the Lord, rejoice in hope, be patient in affliction, be persistent in prayer, share with the saints in their needs, pursue hospitality, bless those who persecute you, bless and do not curse. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Weep with those who weep. Be in agreement with one another. Do not be proud. Instead, associate with the humble. Do not be wise in your own estimation. Do not repay anyone evil for evil. Try to do what is honorable in everyone's eyes. If possible on your part, live at peace with everyone. Friends, do not avenge yourselves. Instead, leave room for his wrath. For it is written, vengeance belongs to me. I will repay, says the Lord. But if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink. For in doing so, you will be heaping fiery coals on his head. Do not be conquered by evil, but conquer evil with good. And that was like my phrase today. I kept repeating it to myself because I understood finally what they're trying to do. It was almost like a wave of water, crashing on you when you're entering the ocean. It was that clear, where I realized that the reason they try to cause panic, the reason they ask these antagonizing questions, the reason why they obviously are trying to create this division and sow discord is because not only are they missing God in their lives, but they understand it's a way to draw a reaction. They understand it's a form of, continually battling against the good that they see in this battle of attrition, where they think if they just knock off a little bit at a time, they can wear us down, right? And they can cause us to be conquered by evil, because it says here, what we're not supposed to do is repay evil with evil. And that's why I think we need to look at these people with sorrow, and we need to look at these people as being lost. And I know it seems difficult when you see the vitriol, when you see the hatred, when you see them, almost foaming at the mouth, waiting their turn to try to discredit the efforts of our nation as a whole in trying to save lives, or trying to provide for people who are less fortunate. Don't let them draw you into their trap. Don't let the devil draw you into that evil. You must detest that evil and cling to what is good. We have to show affection, and if our enemy is hungry, we should feed him, and if they are thirsty, we should give them a drink. Because we will not be conquered by evil, but we will conquer evil with good. And so that's where I'm going to go ahead and leave it. I want to say thank you for watching this episode. Share that message with your family and friends and loved ones. And that's where I'm going to go ahead and leave it. I want to say thank you for watching this episode of Just Informed Talk. Remember to hit the subscribe button and hit it, punch it, tap it, headbutt it, whatever. Hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. That's going to be it for me. My name is Craig. Thanks for watching Just Informed Talk. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.